When God moves, it often happens at the speaking. It's a relationship. What I mean at the speaking of who God is. So as the Samaritan woman is sitting there and Jesus is telling her that, yeah, I'll give you water, that you won't need water any longer because the water that I have for you is the water for eternal life. Like you will never be thirsty again. As this conversation is happening, she gets so excited, and Jesus tells her that the water is hers, and so she gets so excited, and she runs back to that town that the disciples had just come from. And so as she get into the town, she said, there's a man who knows everything about me. There's a man who knows everything. He just told me he must be a prophet. Come with me. Is this God a Messiah? And so what I'm telling you, Davis Chapel, the reason that some of these seats aren't full is because we haven't had our Samaritan woman moment just yet. We haven't gotten to the place where we had to call and get some help to confirm that this person over here is the God of the universe. What I've also noticed is that when something happens, it comes with an expectation. There's an expectation attached to it. This Samaritan woman, although she wasn't a Jew and didn't know much about God, she knew that there was a Messiah. She knew that there was a Messiah. She said, there's something different about you. So maybe y'all come with me and tell me if this is the Messiah. And so they get back to the well and they see Jesus for themselves. And so when they see Jesus for themselves, they beg. That's what we picked up in 39 through 42. They begged for him to go back to the town. And so he gets to the town and he's preaching and he's teaching, and what that did was it sparked a move of God in that Samaritan town. It was the woman at the well, that woman that this was a common woman. It was the woman at the well who sparked a whole move of God in this town. But I brought up Nicodemus to tell you that if it wasn't for Jesus looking past the law, because in the broad daylight, I noticed in my studies, in broad daylight, a man wasn't supposed to be talking to a woman. Not only was he not supposed to be talking to a woman, he wasn't supposed to be talking to a Samaritan woman. And so all of a sudden, there's all of these laws, there's all of these things that's pending on the behalf of this Samaritan woman. But because we serve a God, I'm here to tell you that those laws go out the window when God is in the situation. Those laws that held you back, those laws that kept you bound, those laws that kept you from getting to your Messiah go out the window. They go out the window when you see a God move. The people I know, I've been going long. I studied a long time for this one. Friend groups, when you looking for a move of God, they may often happen in the circle that you keep. They may often happen in the circle that you keep. I think about the paralyzed man, who his friend group went up and carved out a hole in the roof just to get to Jesus. It wasn't his faith alone. It was the faith of the people that he was with. Who are you with? Moving on. We hear this saying all the time. Be careful of the company that you keep. But there's actually truth to that. We see the Samaritan woman who was supposed to have no dealings with Jesus, because of her background, was the one to help the other people. It was her. So if you feel that you're in a place that your background has kept you alone, that your background have you feeling ostracized, that your background is the reason that you don't want to come into the fold, that your background is the reason that you won't walk into the church house, that your background is the reason that you keep starting then stopping, that your background is the reason that you get close and then you give up, that your background is the reason that you say, maybe I can't do this, that maybe God isn't calling me. I'm here to tell you that the Samaritan woman had questions, but she also had enough faith to believe that this person is speaking with a different type of authority, that this person is speaking different from these Jewish leaders, leaders, these Sanhedrin council people, these Pharisees and Sadducees. This person is speaking a difference. So I want to go tell somebody about the person who told me that I can have living water, water that'll sustain me, water that'll keep me, water that I'll never have to be thirsty again. Now this whole village is changed because of this Samaritan woman. Seeing God moves requires an expectation. As I read through the book of John, as Jesus is making his rounds in the early parts of his ministry, I noticed those who received was because they was in expectation of this Messiah. The miracles that took place all happened to people who was expecting Jesus. Yeah, along the way, he touched some eyes and healed some people. But the woman with the issue of blood knew that if she got to the hem of his garment, that she would be healed. The friend group of the paralyzed man knew that if they got him close enough to Jesus, that he would be healed. It was these type of people that received healing. It was these type of people that received miracles because they were in expectation of the things that Jesus could do. Many times we come into the church house and we come, I think, out of routine. Many times we come to the church house. I think we come just because we feel an obligation to be here. But what if we came with the expectation of receiving? What if we came with the expectation that God was going to move? What if we came knowing that God already knew who he was? He told the Samaritan woman when she was sitting at the well, he told her to go get her husband. He told her to go get her husband because she hadn't been with many husbands. He told her to go get her husband because she was staying with somebody at the time that wasn't even her husband. But you know what he did? He gave her the living water. He still said that eternity is yours. In other words, he knew who she was on the inside. He knew who she was in spite of what she was trying to do to cover it up. He knew who she was. And so my thing to you, Davis Chapel, is that to come to church with the expectation of receiving. Receiving because he knows. Let's not just get into this routine of praying because we're asked to pray. Let's not get into this routine of teaching because we're supposed to teach. Because we'll find ourselves like Nicodemus. Where I studied the law my whole life. I go to church my whole life. I put on this show. Jesus was mad at the Pharisees and Sadducees because he said, don't be like them because they pray for show. They do this for show. They just boasting and they saying a lot of words, but those words aren't reaching the ceiling. They saying a lot of words, but those words aren't going past this hour that we in right now. I'm talking a lot, but it's not making no impact. And so he's saying, let's not be like Nicodemus. But the cool thing about this, I still got notes. I'm trying to hurry up. These were the times that they were living in. I could see the Samaritan woman thinking to herself, when Jesus is asking her for a cup of water, I could see her thinking to herself, why is this man talking to me? Why is he bothering me? Probably with an attitude. But what I noticed in that is that when we see God move, oftentimes he initiates the conversation. He walked up to the Samaritan woman and asked for a drink of water. So my thing to you is, Davis Chapel, who are you walking up to? Who are you initiating a conversation with? Who are you speaking and prophesying to? Who are you declaring the good news to? Because if we want to fill these seats with the people that God has chosen them for, it's not going to be them walking in here on their own behalf. It's going to be us initiating the conversation. This Jewish man and his customs. She probably thought that this man is judging me. She probably thought that because of my background, I've had these type of conversations before. Because of the things that I've been through, I've had these conversations before. And so we got to be like Jesus in the fact that we don't just teach and preach the law, but we are the law. That we walk in the law. That we consider other people when we're doing things. John 7:50 and 51. I'm about to close. It says, then Nicodemus, the leader who had met with Jesus earlier, spoke up. Y'all missed it. It says, then Nicodemus, the leader who had met with Jesus earlier, spoke up. He spoke up. He realized, because not only did he hear, he saw a God move. He saw God move in such a way that he threw away the law that he knew. He threw away what he had been taught. He threw away his upbringing. Those degrees that he had didn't matter no more. All the studying he had done didn't matter no more. He said, then Nicodemus, the leader who had met with Jesus earlier, he spoke up. Are you speaking up? Are you speaking up? Let's go to the next one. Are you speaking up? Is it legal? We're talking legal terms now. This is the law. He said, I didn't come to abolish the law, but I did come to fulfill the law. And because I came to fulfill the law, this Samaritan woman now has a right to the tree of life. He said, is it legal to convict a man before he is given a hearing? How many times have we convicted people? How many times have we convicted people before we gave them a hearing? These same Pharisees and Sadducees were convicting people because of this law. And we do the same thing today. We convince people. You ought to see the posts in these comments on these mega pastors' churches, or these mega churches' comments about church hurt. Even in our small local church here. We small now in number, but we big at heart. But you ought to hear the things about church hurt and how church people treated me and how church people did this and how church people did that. We can't be the ones, if we're going to fulfill our duty here on earth, that's convicting people before we give them a hearing. Nicodemus got to a place. I'm closing. Nicodemus got to a place where he realized that God, when God moves, nothing else matters. Nicodemus got to a place where many of us have gotten to today, where we're asking ourselves, how are these things possible? And I'm here to tell you, that these things are possible because God moves. These things are possible because God moves. And if you're in a room, I'm done. And you want to see God move, the time is now.